please. Come on.
Goodbye, Benny.
Welcome back to the Millennial Classics, y'all, with Maburi and Q. On this podcast, on this show, we talk about the best and most memorable movies, music, and culture-changing events from our generation. Maburi, how you doing today?
Doing great. Always happy to come through with another banger of a movie. So let's get it.
You can say that again.
Who picked this? Was this you or me?
This was you. This was 100% you. But okay. I was very excited about it. And I think it's perfect timing with Oppenheimer right here. So Maburi usually tells me to take the fucking runway when I get to do the picking. Maburi this week picked the movie, so I'm going to let Maburi take the runway. Maburi, what movie did you pick, and why is it a Millennial Classic?
All right, so this week we are doing the one, the only Inception. It's our blockbuster. In the 90s, I don't know, what do they have in the 90s? Forrest Gump? In the 80s, they had like Back to the Future. No, 90s they had Jurassic Park.
Yes.
90s they had Jurassic Park. That would be like the analog for the 90s for this movie. In terms of like a futuristic kind of sci-fi, a little bit out there adventure movie, this is our version. It's classied up because it's to 2010, so it's a little bit classied up. Maybe it's wearing a little bit of a suit, but we're doing Inception. So,
I do have to disagree with you on comparing it to Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park, I feel like, is just like entertainment on the screen. But I feel like Inception is such more of a thinker of a movie. Like you can go to Jurassic Park, watch it, and just like enjoy it and not like listen to any of the words. You like this movie, you have to understand it. You have to be sitting there taking notes, at least the first time I watched it, because I know when I rewatched it for this, I was like, how did I miss all of this?
You're right, because here's the thing. So I made that example in regards to not the content, but the context of the movie, because Jurassic Park is an original movie, right? It's based off a book, but essentially it wasn't like a franchise beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Big blockbuster, right? From like a renowned director, and Back to the Future wasn't like a franchise before it too, because nowadays if you're talking about a big family blockbuster that the whole family is going to go out and watch, right, and you can turn your brain off, we're talking about superhero movies now.
Exactly. Your
family just goes and watches the newest Guardians of the Galaxy or the newest Avengers movie, and that's it. We don't have these movies now where we don't have Jurassic Parks now it's Jurassic Park 6 or whatever. So in terms of that,
I see.
Now, really, it's not really the same audience because this movie is a little bit more dressed up. You have to think a bit more, but I still love this movie. I wish we had movies like this every year come out. It feels like these movies are now like it's just Christopher Nolan making these movies, and that's it.
And we were saying prior to starting that Oppenheimer is just around the corner. So before we get into this movie, do you think Oppenheimer, because Oppenheimer is a biopic, right? Like, I don't know how much. I feel like Tarantino is the guy who would take history and like make it imaginative. Like Christopher Nolan is much more of a like, I'm down to earth. Let's make. It's weird that I say down to earth because it's Inception and Tenet where he's like playing with time and dreams. But like, I don't see him using his imagination to like blow up. Pun intended.
The vibe the vibe I get from this movie is it's going to be closer to Dunkirk.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Nolan movies.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I think it's going to be way closer to Dunkirk. Maybe it's like some time stuff, but it's really grounded.
Yes, in
terms of what we're going to be watching.
I'm excited. Like, I don't know, like Christopher Nolan, there's just a few directors that like they drop a movie and you have to go see. And there's fewer directors that they drop a movie and you have to go see that movie in theaters. Like, I honestly think I would be able to watch a Tarantino movie came out in the midst of COVID. I wouldn't be hurt by not going to go see it in a theater. But a Christopher Nolan movie, I feel like if he's dropping a movie, I have to see it in a theater. I have to see it in IMAX. I have to see it in Dolby. Like I have to. It's a theater experience. With all that being said, before we get into the millennial,
they're about the same level.
You think so?
I think they're about the same level. In terms of like, if a new Tarantino movie comes out, I think you're gonna go see it.
Of course, I'm going to go see it. But I'm saying my urge or need to watch it in theater in the best version of theater.
Okay. Yeah. In terms of that, yeah.
Before you did the rewatch, Maburi, and I don't know the last time you watched it prior to this rewatch, was there a scene in the movie or a part of the movie or the thing that you remembered about Inception before the rewatch?
So the thing with this movie is the trailer was well, this is one of those movies where the trailer is so iconic.
Yes.
And so sometimes it's kind of tough if you especially if you're growing up and you watch the trailer and you're like, holy shit.
Yep.
Like what am I gonna be watching here? And it's a Hans Zimmer score. And this is one of those first trailers where it did the big horns in the trailer. Now every movie has that, but it's tough to when you look back and you try to like access your memory, it's tough to not separate the trailer from like the best scenes in the movie, because when you think of this movie now, it's like I think of the trailer in the city folding on in on itself the first time. But that's just because that was the trailer. Like the trailer was literally like the horns in the city folding in itself. Leo has so many memes now, but the meme of Leo like waking up and squinting from the airplane.
Yeah,
I think of that, and I think of the trailer, the city folding in on itself.
Ditto. I think that the city folding in on itself is like it's just like a spectacle, iconic thing like you remember about this movie. And I always think about how like when the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange in that
Did you
movie,
like that movie?
No, not the second one. I'm just talking about like the first movie when everyone was like, oh my goodness, like they're turning the city into this like magical world.
Oh yeah. When he went into the other realm.
Yeah, the other realm in the city. Watching Doctor Strange, that first movie, all I can remember the entire time that scene was happening, I was like, this is cool, but Nolan did it better. Those two movies I always have that link with. But let's get into this movie. Well, I'm sorry, not yet. We're not getting into this movie yet because we got to get into the Millennial Time Machine, ladies and gentlemen. So let me take you guys on back to when this movie dropped, and it did come out July 16th, 2010. We've done 2010 a few times, so I'm not going to be going over the top 10 movies. You could see that in previous one of our 2010 movies that dropped, but I will go down the list of some of the hot things that were happening. The movie Toy Story 3 was also released that summer as well. The song California Girls by Katy Perry featuring Snoop Dogg reached the Billboard's Hot 100. And it ended up blowing up. 2 huge TV shows premiered that summer, that month. Game of Thrones, its first episode aired, which is insane to think about. But also...
Is that one Mad Men?
No, the other TV show is The Vampire Diaries. I didn't think...
What the hell? Why would you put those 2 shows together?
because when you look at like the culture shock of
you
what
out of pocket for that.
Well, Murray, just because you didn't see it does not mean it's not a culture-changing TV show. The Vampire Diaries, I don't know how many seasons it has, but it's arguably like probably top 5, top 10 of since 2010. Like bar none. I know we're not the demographic for it, and you've probably... Is
there a gun off to the side of the screen? Who are you capping for?
I wish I were. The video game Call of Duty Black Ops was released for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. And then I always have to throw some spice into the news here. Tiger Woods' infidelity scandal broke with allegations that he had alleged. I don't think it's alleged, bro. I mean, he had been having affairs with multiple women, and it actually broke that same weekend that Inception came out. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, I know that's a shorter time machine.
Where did you see the movie? Do you remember?
I don't remember where, but it was 100% in the theater. And like with me, there's like usually 3 theaters that I went to back in the day. This is 2010, so it's either Natick or it's in Boston. Like if I'm gonna go see a big movie,
I saw it in Boston.
Yeah, it's gonna be Boston and Natick for me if it's a big movie.
Shout out to David Busby. I want to go see it with him.
Oh yeah, shout outs to Buzz. Comment. And yeah, that's, ladies and gentlemen, that's your Millennial Time Machine. Mumbury, the makings and ratings of Inception. Take it away.
So that's the reason why there was so much hype behind this movie, all right? Because Nolan had literally just been building and building and building. He arguably made the greatest superhero movie we've ever seen in Dark Knight, right? Dark Knight Rises was coming, heavily anticipated. And then between those movies, he decided to do his own movie, Inception. The studio just said, here's 150 mil. Do whatever you want to do. Blank check. This is what directors love. Like, this is what you work hard for. This is why you do the Dark Knight movies. So you can get 150 mil and make whatever you want.
One for them, one for me.
he went and got Leo. So he's got the number one actor, he's got the blank check, and you got the hottest director, and then this is what you make. This is honestly, this is what you want. 2010, this movie comes out, blows up. I think I remember off the top it made like 60 mil opening, and then it just kept on going from there. So massive hit for an original movie. And this movie like launched on the Nolan name, pretty much, from the director of Dark Knight or whatever. And obviously Prestige. So he had that going for him too. Rotten Tomatoes 87, so critically acclaimed. Box office made 836 million. You have to if you look back or just look at the last couple of years, and then you look at movies that have made $800 million original. That's why it's Christopher Nolan. It's literally him, James Cameron. Like the only bigger directors than him, pretty much, are like James Cameron.
Yeah,
for big budget.
And like, I just want y'all just to understand what Maburi is saying right now, right? If you think of any movie at all that's crossing the $500 million mark, it's not just an IP. It's not just the 10th movie in the series. It's not just like a recast or live action version of the fucking Little Mermaid, and that didn't even touch it. Right. This is an original movie that Christopher Nolan thought up in his fucking brain. This is directing at its peak.
IMDb 8.8 out of 10. Hans Zimmer was on a roll. So Hans Zimmer was already pretty big, but this is the start because he had this iconic, like the horns soundtrack. And then right after this, obviously he's done the Batman movie. He has Interstellar right after this. And the cornfield song. So like literally this and Interstellar, I mean, you have to have those. The cast, that's the thing. So you got top directors.
Oh my god.
You got everyone showing up. Leonardo DiCaprio, we already talked about him. Mm-hmm. It's when it comes to, I don't know, he's not on the Tom Cruise, Will Smith, because those guys are more box office dudes. But then when you go to like the Denzel, Tom Hanks kind of guys who are like 50-50, Leo's like strictly, he doesn't give a shit about box office. It's like, dog, I'm going to work with my guys, Scorsese, Spielberg. I'm going to work with my guys, and I'm going to only put out top tier content. And this is kind of like the mix. Like this is Leo doing a blockbuster. So for everyone that missed it, because I mean, Titanic obviously was the biggest movie of all time, but that was like before Leo had the juice.
Yeah. So
this is Leo with the juice doing a blockbuster, obviously. And now this is good timing because the trailer for his new movie with Scorsese just dropped, Killers of the Flower Moon. That's going to be sick. We also have Gordon-Levitt in here.
Say his name.
What's your favorite? Huh?
I was going to tell you to say his name. No.
JGL?
No. What's his name? Tom Hardy. That's my guy.
Tom Hardy, Mad Max.
Yep.
I mean, we've been on a Tom Hardy tear. Cillian Murphy.
Yep.
Or Cillian or Killian?
I pronounce it Cillian, but yeah, we know who you're talking about. Fisher.
It might be Killian.
Oh.
Obviously, Oppenheimer.
Yep.
So this was like the preview for that. He was Scarecrow in the Batman movies. So he's been like part of the Nolan crew for a bit.
Yep.
But now this is a big shot. Elliot Page from Judo. And then Marion Cotillard, we'll talk about her, but she plays the dead wife, spoiler alert, in this movie. She was in Dark Knight Rises. That's a French actress. Ken Watanabe, that's my guy.
Ken Watanabe, right? That's my, yes.
Last Samurai, he's a beast in Last Samurai. Godzilla, Memoirs of a Geisha, and then Michael Caine, who's just like, I mean, at this point, I think Christopher Nolan carries Michael Caine around at like a chain or some shit because he's in every goddamn movie. But yeah, so that's the cast. Insane cast.
Yes.
And this movie, it's pretty cool because the way kind of that he like thought of this movie, because it's the heist movie with the crew, but it's also supposed to mimic like the movie making process. That's why Cobb in this movie, Leo DiCaprio, kind of dresses like Christopher Nolan, but he's the director of the crew. And then Tom Hardy's the actor of the crew. And then Joseph Gordon-Levitt's the producer, and Cillian Murphy's the audience, right? So he built it out like that. And then Elliot Page is the production designer, the architect. That's why they do this whole thing of like, you have to make everything feel real. And actually the opening scene when he's like touching the rug and it's like, this is polyester. It's like, well, that's something a dope production designer would do, right?
Yeah.
It's not fake. Now we got the real shit.
We got that real shit. How can you fuck up the rug? Yes.
And then obviously Ken Watanabe, the boss, he's the studio, and he does shit like, we're
funding the whole situation.
Yeah.
I don't want to step on anything, but one of my greatest lines about Ken Watanabe being the studio, and first of all, you describing this entire thing, I had no idea that this was a thought process or what, like the meta of what this movie was. I had no idea. I'm just looking at it as like a dream movie, but the way you explain it, it's obvious that it was. But that line when you say that Ken Watanabe was the studio in the movie, when he says, "Yeah, I bought the airline," I'm like, God, this motherfucker. I love when he says that. I love it.
Yeah.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean that's it. I'm ready to jump right into the scenes.
Please.
It's just this movie. It's really cool because it's a heist movie first and foremost, but it's a heist movie without like a overarching villain. Because most heist movies, like you think of like first heist, like probably our most iconic heist movie from our thing, like Oceans.
Yep.
Boom. There's a villain, and like as far back as Robin Hood, like there's a villain. You rob from him, whether you give it to the poor, you keep it, but he deserves to get stolen from.
Yeah,
right. That's the whole point. Like the audience, you want to root for the guy stealing shit. This movie is kind of weird because we're working for a villain, right? I mean, he says it's going to break up a monopoly, but I mean, who the fuck? We're working for one billionaire. We're working for a billionaire to stop another billionaire. But and then it turns out the other billionaires, it's like maybe the dad was a dickhead, but the son is just like, he just wants to have a relationship with his father. And then not only that, he joins the heist.
Yep.
So it's this weird kind of dynamic where it's a heist movie with no overarching villain, because one guy's on his deathbed and his son is just he's not even aware that there's a heist going on.
They're stealing ideas, they're implanting ideas. It's a fucking, I mean, in the beginning of the movie, he's like, I'm a dream. What was this called? I'm an idea thief. Whatever he called himself. It's fucking, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's like, who comes up with this shit? So yes, Mumbury, take us down this road of your favorite scenes. Let's see, let's get into this movie, the meat.
So intro scene, which is the heist in Japan. They kind of just put you right in on it. Right, he meets with Saito, right? Exposition, but you get a sense of what he's faking, what he's doing, but he's also explaining to you and all of us what he does. I love when he actually is like, no, all right, now we gotta go steal this shit. And then Leo, because here's the thing, we never see Leo be a badass his whole career. Like he's this dude's method. So like he's not out here. It's like watching Daniel Day-Lewis do like fucking Expendable 6. Like that's what this is.
Don't say things like that. The blasphemy.
So when Leo's going through with the bullets and the silencer, and he is like does this sick shit where he shoots the gun and then catches the bullet midair, the casing of the bullet, so it doesn't make a sound. Shoots the dude and then catches the dude before he drops.
Epic.
I mean, this is some Tom Clancy type shit.
Yeah.
I would love to see it. This Hans Zimmer score kicks in, everything. I mean, they're really good about explaining everything. The first scene is super confusing the first time you watch it. Because you're like, what is going on? They're jumping back and forth. But the kick, that scene, I mean, so the wife obviously is introduced. Judge Gordon-Levitt is kind of like his right-hand man, which just kind of makes sense. Director and producer right off the bat. But Judge Gordon-Levitt's his right-hand man. But that scene with the kick, and then you have like the water collapsing in
the building when he gets into the tub. First and foremost, I was going to ask about like that very, very first scene where you see him talk to the old Saito. It is very confusing when you first watching this movie. It's so fucking confusing. Even when I was rewatching it, because I haven't watched it in a while, I was like, what the fuck is going on, right? There is ways to do exposition, and if you do it right, you throw people into the movie of what's happening. And of course, you have to explain the situation like, I'm here to steal your dream or whatever, or I'm here to take an idea or whatever, right? When he's explaining it to Saito at the big table in the beginning, I love that he does that. And when he says things like, I have to be closer than your wife, than your therapist, you got to tell me everything. And then he says it. I know you have a key or an envelope in this way. And just that quick glance, Yo, Leo is quick like a mother.
No,
He's
but
quick.
yeah. As soon as he said that, I was like, this dude is a scam. Like, if this dude was Nigerian, he wouldn't even make it in the room. Because if you say I have to be closer than your wife, than your brother, than your whatever, as soon as someone says that, if any person in your life ever says something like that, they are scamming the shit out of you.
100%.
Listen, we just did Mad Max, which is like as lean of a movie as you can get in terms of exposition. This movie doesn't really have that luxury because it's so much more complex, and even in terms of just story structure wise, that you kind of have to explain to the audience what's going on, and it does it about as well as you can.
Exactly, because they're doing it while it's perfectly done. It's perfectly done. You're explaining it to someone in the movie who needs it to be explained to them, and it's beautiful. I just really, really like it because there's action happening throughout the whole thing.
You think movies like this with such a cool concept, like if I was the director or if I was the writer, you have such a cool concept of dream stealing. You maybe want to like hold this shit to your chest, right? You do one where you're just stealing, and then you do the next one where you're stealing and you go a dream within a dream. Nolan's like, we're stealing a dream, we get caught. It's a trap from Saito. He wants to know if you were good enough to do it. You failed this test, and then he realizes we're 2 dreams in, and you actually passed the test because you got it. I mean, like literally, this is the first 20 minutes.
Exactly.
And then it goes all the way to the train team, and then it turns out they're on a bullet train, and he does
great intro.
I don't like trains.
Yep.
Great little foreshadowing there, and then obviously they say the name Inception.
He said it.
Yeah.
So when we meet Saito in the helicopter, which is always great.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Before we go to the next scene, at the end, like when he finds out that this is not like, oh, this is not your dream, this is my dream, and they end up waking up on the train. It's like, that was for me like peak confusion, right? When I was first watching this movie, that was like peak confusion. And I know you just explained how they did the exposition really, really well, but that's the thing. They didn't explain it to the point where, I get the concept. Let's keep going, right? You just came out of these 2 dreams. 2 dreams deep is the first heist, is how you get introduced to this movie. So they leave enough of the question marks without answering everything while doing the exposition, which allows you to be like invested and curious about the rest of the movie, which I really do like.
And it's cool because the first time when you watch it, you really don't get they don't really explain how they were in Saito's dream, which was them dreaming in the production, the architect's dream. And then they were all, but so they don't explain that, but this is what it is. Saito, if we have like an MVP for the first 30 minutes of the movie, Saito, Ken Watanabe really knocks out of the park because we talked about not having a villain, but there is a villain in the first 25 minutes and he kills it.
Yeah.
Threatening, menacing. It's like, what billionaire is doing that? Is Elon Musk handing people guns and shit?
This motherfucker's on Twitter.
And you get the sense off the jump that this is going to be a sick little adventure. Oceans does the same thing too, where he's like, what casino are you robbing? And they kind of like spell out how difficult it is to rob a casino. And then they do we're robbing 3. So that's kind of like this. It's like, no, we're not stealing dreams here.
Yeah.
I want to implant
it.
So that's why the story structure is pretty similar to a regular heist movie, because right from there we go right into.
I know we got to move on, but just 2 things about that last thing is, number one, a big issue I have with this Saito in the movie has to make it sound like this is an easy thing to do, because he asks him, he's like, first of all, Inception, is it possible? Can we do it? Do you want your family back? And Leo's like, yes. Let's make, like, Cobb is like, yes. Can you promise me this is gonna happen? Saito, being the badass boss, bad guy in the situation, tells him the truth. He's like, can you promise me? Can you guarantee? How do I know? He's like, you don't know. You just got to trust me. Yeah. First of all, you got to take a leap of faith. But then second of all, and this is the most important thing. He's like, how hard is this? How difficult is this idea you want me planted? He's like, it's not difficult at all. I just need you to make him want to make the biggest decision in the world.
Yeah. It's
literally
I need to decide something that's not in his interest.
It's That's not an easy idea to plan. Get the fuck out of here. But yes, please, we got to. Yeah. Next scene.
So right off that, we go right into getting the gang together, getting the team together, which is an iconic, and it's usually my favorite part of the heist, because in every heist movie, getting the team together, you kind of have to see. So if we're talking about iconic heist movies, I think there's one movie that came out the year after this that has the only better getting the gang together scene, which is Fast Five.
Oh my god,
Fast Five. But this is the close. This is up there. So they got to get obviously a new production designer, audience, Ariadne, architect, right? And I like Ariadne in this movie because it kind of helps with the exposition, them teaching her, and she's kind of like the audience avatar for the first half of the movie, because we're just right there with her. We're like, yo, what is it totem? What is it? What do the rules work? And they get to explain the rules to her. And then Eames, dope character, the little Mombasa scene. Well, it's actually Tangiers, because I've been in Mombasa. But,
good for you.
I had to look it up. Yeah, it's in Tangiers. Yeah, great location. Cobalt sniffing around, and I'm like, yo, come on. It's like, this is like if Samsung's got goons chasing the thief. I mean, like, what are we doing here? They're moving crazy deep. I mean, they like dudes in Morocco waiting. What are we talking about here?
Do we ever find out anything about Cobalt? Like anything legit?
No.
Yeah, they just like.
But they're moving like the dudes Putin hired. Who those dudes that marched on Moscow? That's who these guys are moving. Because holy shit, they got dudes everywhere.
They sure do.
But Tom Hardy's great. Honestly, he has the best outfits. Something breezy, casual, but you can maybe do country club. But you can also go out and hit something nice and chill. That's what he's rocking with the whole way through. And then obviously the score. The score is it sets the mood so well in all these movies. Whether it's a chase, whether it's a running, whether it's like ominous music, it just fits the movie so well.
So I think getting the crew together is for me, it's a decency. I wasn't like head over heels about it. I do like the intro to Tom Hardy, to Ames, however you pronounce his name. I didn't want to say this. In the beginning scene at Saito's building, I really feel like Leo does the action great. I don't see him. He's not the biggest, bestest actor, action star. He just isn't. Yeah. He just isn't, right? I thought it was really cool when he was trying to squeeze out of that wall, but I was like, bro, why don't you start sideways? Why are you trying to run? But
I think it was more for the movie.
Of course, and that's what I mean.
That looked stupid.
Yeah, it just looked very stupid when he was.
Because Tom Cruise would have flown through that shit.
That's what I'm saying.
He would have done a handstand right through that.
But yeah, no, I thought that scene was pretty decent. It depends. Do you think that scene? Okay, no, keep going, because that's a totally different scene. Go ahead.
And then I think the last guy is the chemist, who's also conveniently in Tangiers.
He's not conveniently in Tangiers. Eames is the one who's like, I know this dude. He is here. Let's go see.
Pretty convenient. But yeah, so they do that. And then this is where the movie kind of starts to slow down. It slows down in terms of like maybe pace, but it's still super interesting. This is where some of the coolest shots of the movie are. This is where Nolan gets to like flex how crazy this world can get. This is where you see the buildings folding on themselves. There's that famous cafe scene where everything's exploding around them. Ariadne does the mirror trick.
Yes.
And and Leo's like, holy shit. Do you think you'd be good at that test that he gives her?
What?
You have 1 minute to create a maze that takes 2 minutes to solve.
I don't even know where to start.
Random ass lines.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I'm like, I don't know where
What class is that? Like, what class did they pick him up at? Because that is crazy.
Yeah, no. They definitely do this kind of thing in like you would.
What class does that kind of thing?
She's an architect. She's an architect.
Is she?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Isn't that what the grandfather said? That's what his grandfather said. Michael Caine.
So Leo's an architect? All these dudes are architects?
I think it's Leo and Elliot Page are the only two architects. Yes, Michael Caine, but he's like a professor. He's not part of the heisting anymore, the thieving anymore. But I think it's just Leo and Elliot Page. And Leo is the best architect to have ever done it, but he can't because of his subconscious. Yeah, no, this is one of my favorite scenes, not just because of the spectacle, but because of the why of the spectacle. When he's talking to Michael Caine, his wife's father or whatever that relationship is, the kid's grandfather, and they're talking about the art. I mean, the architecture, and like they do the blowing up, and you see the building flip, and you see the mirrors, and it's really, really, really cool to see. But then the thing that Leo says to Joseph Gordon-Levitt, after he comes out of the dream and she's like, I'm out of here, fuck this. He has a really fucked up subconscious. He's like, she'll be back. Once you've seen it, you can't go back. Reality isn't enough. And that, like, it's so beautifully said and so beautifully done, because if you are an architect, if you truly love the thing that you do, right? If you truly love this architecture life, and if you're that good at it, all you want to do is create the biggest and baddest and most incredible architecture buildings you can, and there's no better, crazier way to do that than in a dream, and you can do it instantly, like instantaneously. I feel that like they spell that message out so perfectly with the visuals, with the creativity, with what can be possible. And then like you don't even have to see the conversation of her coming back, because Leo's like, trust me, she'll be back. I just love that. I love the concept. I love the visuals. I love that entire scene.
And then even something as simple as like Joseph Gordon-Levitt showing her character the totems.
Yes.
And then seeing how he comes back at the end. It's really well done. Here's the thing though. The reason why I didn't put this in one of my favorite scenes is this entire section of the movie. It's the intercutting with Cobb and his wife and the family. It's just, after the second, third time you watch this movie, it's a drag. Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to say it too. The wife is a drag. And it's one of those things where you almost, at this point, you wonder how they got married in the first place. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, this part of the movie, this is, if you got to pee, this is the part to do it in, because wow. Yeah. And he got outwitted by her, which says a lot about him. He's a master criminal and he couldn't see that one coming.
No, Mabari, fuck out of here. All right, first of all, I agree with you wholeheartedly with the flashbacks and the fact that it's a drag, especially on a rewatch. In the beginning, you have to understand it, but on a rewatch, you're like, I get it. But you have to understand the situation. They went into limbo. They were down there for 50 fucking years. Maburi, like, of course she went fucking nuts. But the motherfucking killer, is how she set him up. She wrote all of these notes to the psychiatrist telling them that he's gonna kill her and how she's unsafe. And then she kills herself. Like, what kind of psychopath does that?
The wife you've been locked with for 50 years, you didn't see that one coming? She wasn't out here chewing cardboard or some shit? There were no signs? Come on. There was no signs. This just came out of the blue. She made 2 psychiatric appointments and you were just like, oh, I'll drop you off? What were we doing here?
I know. It's a lot to ask. But they're stealing ideas. They're implanting dreams. You gotta go with it.
Yeah, it's just rough. And you know, it's not even her fault because she acts pretty well in this. It's just the character. It's how it's written. The best thing about John Wick is they don't keep cutting back to the dog. You know what I'm talking about?
Exactly. All you need is that reason, and then keep it moving. We don't have to see how it built and fall apart.
And then the other part is just like Ariadne's character keeps telling, like, you got to tell the crew that this is becoming a problem. You got to tell them. It's like, yo, dog, do your job. Just take your cut and do your job. All right. What are you doing here? You're not HR. All right. Build the maze and keep it moving. All right. What are you talking about here?
I love that you said that, because I felt the same way. I'm like, lady, you're dealing with fucking criminals. What are you telling me? I gotta tell people. What?
We're eating at a dining hall 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Sit back and take the cut of the money. What are you talking about?
The only reason you end up agreeing with her is because in the heist, when the fucking train blows everything up, then it's like, okay, you probably should have said something. But I hear you. No, the entire time I'm like,
nah. What you got to do is you got to give everyone the wife's fucking ID and be like, if you see this woman, you shoot on sight. Forget about Cobb. Everyone's got to have a shoot to kill order on this woman.
On this crazy fucking psycho, yes. Next scene.
The next scenes I have, it's the start of the heist, because that's when this movie starts picking up again. Every great movie does this. Every great heist movie, even if because the plan always changes during the heist, but you got to explain the heist first. Then we see the heist. Then we can see what when everything goes wrong, we still know what was supposed to happen, right? Fast 10, the Ocean's movies. The only movie that's kind of the flip of this is Inside Man. Honestly, Cobb does need to get reported to HR though, because he does some devious ass shit when they get to the first level and Sizer gets shot, and he's like, "Nah, you can't get out. You win all the way, baby." 10 toes. You talked about iconic shots that we remember from the movie. The train going through the car. I don't know what Hyundai that is, but I don't know a single Hyundai that can eat a train like that and keep it going. But when they build one like that, I'll buy it. Eames with the iconic line, "You mustn't be afraid to dream bigger, darling."
Yes.
A lot more gunfire than you'd expect from a Nolan movie, but honestly, great. So that was the first level. Do you have any comments on the first level? It's pretty straightforward.
It is pretty straight. Yeah, it is pretty straightforward. I do love Eames dressing up, finally getting into costume. I'm clear. That is a different actor. That's not Tom Hardy in like full like fat suit, right? Like, I don't know if I'm being an asshole by asking that question, but is that Tom Hardy?
You're being an idiot. You're being an idiot. It's just like in Mission Impossible when they switch masks. It's not another guy in a mask. It's just the other actor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No. So I do feel a little bit bad. But
so you think Tom Hardy spent 10 hours doing makeup to look like a guy that was on set right there, right next to him?
Yeah, Zoe Saldana does it every day for fucking Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, but there's no green person that's fucking standing right there that's in the others, that's in the rest of the movie.
My point being is, I absolutely love how they go about it. I know we haven't talked about the actual, like, how they're going to go about making him change his mind. You saying Tom Hardy is the actor and how he has to, like, go about explaining or making this seem very real. And he's like, I need to be that right-hand man. And that explanation, that storyline itself is a beautiful thing, because Tom Hardy is the one that needs to make it a reality. Make him think of it as a reality, as his own dream. Right. And I think we have to mention that, because at each level, he's doing something to make sure that this is followed through, and he does it beautifully.
Are you convinced they stick the landing?
No.
Like, are you convinced that at the end of that whole thing, he's going to come out of that and be like, what I'm going to do is destroy my father's legacy and build a new one for my own? Like,
so you're confused, because he's not destroying. He's probably going to make more money than anyone on the planet Earth has ever made. First of all,
he is. Yes, he is. But he's breaking up the empire.
Yes, he is breaking up the empire. But that's the thing. Like, if like all you do in your entire life is, I want to please father, and like his father's fucked up. I mean, like, I know you have a few words, but the first thing you say is disappointed. Oh, I couldn't say the other word, which was in myself. If your entire life you're trying to live up to your father, right? It's basically Succession in a dream world, and your father is like dying, and then he tells you, don't be me, build your own. I agree that is what you would do. Because if he dies and he doesn't say anything to you, your image of what needs to happen is, I need to continue this legacy and do it as big as he would have done it. But if your father literally says, the only thing I want from you is to not be me, then yes, I'm going to sell it. But I'm not convinced that's what happened. I'm not convinced that was what happened, but the thought process I agree with.
So then from there, they go into the second level.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably the part that is the best part of the heist.
Yes.
It's the most coherent, I think, and it's the most straightforward. I think if they hadn't done that trickery in the first part, I think they would have just done a 2-level heist, and I think
It would have been done.
Fine.
Yeah.
They do a little Mr. Charles bit, which leads me to presume they weren't planning on doing this. This was the original plan, which works pretty well. You get to see Leo do his little convincing theme. The hallway scene in the hotel.
Yeah.
With Joseph Gordon-Levitt. The hallway fight.
See, that's
so. The thing is, they intercut back and forth.
Exactly.
Dude, so all three of these levels intercut. So I'm gonna have stuff from all the way around. So the iconic shot for this, and this is so sick how they did this because they pretty much built a shaft like 100 feet long in real life, and they put it on a giant roller. And then they could spin the entire hallway in the studio warehouse. And then Joseph Gordon-Levitt is literally just running side by side. And like they did it practical. It's not like here's the thing. If this was fucking Avengers, they would have had Tony Stark in like a half a suit hanging from a doing like that's the difference.
It is the difference. It is the difference. And that's why that scene shines.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, 100%. 100%.
So this scene, they do the second level. So Eames really does a lot of heavy lifting here.
That's what I'm saying.
They kind of plant this second bit of the Godfather thing of planting the Inception there. Maybe the Godfather's not who he said he was. There's maybe a bit of betrayal. We have to find the truth. They kind of twist it, and then this is when Cillian Murphy's character kind of joins the team.
Exactly.
Unwittingly.
That's what I'm telling you.
And then goes along for the ride. And that's the part that is amazing.
Yeah.
Because now we're all working together here. And they say this kind of this offhanded comment that Leo makes to Eames, where he's like, do we go for negative energy? Do we go for negative outcome or positive outcome? And Leo just says something to the point of, I think positive outcomes trump negative outcomes most of the time. And I think we need to go for a catharsis that's positive. That's why I said it's super weird that there's no villain. Because now the guy who's supposed to be the villain, we're hoping for a
happy conclusion.
Breakthrough.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Like he's gonna change who he is for the better. He's gonna get some kind of closure with his family, with his dad. Which, if that was just a regular movie, that would be the main character. I mean, there's literally movies based on just getting closure about your relationship with your father. Everyone here, and then Cobb's trying to get his family back. So that's why it's like really Saito's villain here.
Yes.
Because Saito could have just called the DOJ, told them, yo, this is a monopoly. But no.
He wants to implant the idea in his competition. But that's what I was trying to say from the beginning, because it's a lot of this is put on the shoulders of Tom Hardy, right? In the beginning, he's first saying, like in that first level, he's first telling Cillian, however you pronounce his name, you know the code. Think of a date. You know the code. You know the code. You know the code. And then in that second level, when you see the bad guy switch, and the guy's like, yeah, your father wants you to break up the fucking company. Of course, I don't want you to get this shit. And then he's the one who sent the
father's final taunt.
Yeah, he's like, so that's why I'm saying they set that shit up so fucking amazingly. But then they go to that third level.
So the third level. See, now this is where, so the first time I watched this movie, this is where it lost me. Because you have to, when you're watching this in real time for the first time, there's so many different things going on. Because at this point, it's now cutting through 3 levels.
Yeah.
Right? And then it gets to a 4th level. We'll talk about that later. And so now the issue is, we're all watching this in real time, but really it's not in real time, because at the 3rd level, everything's going way slower than the 1st level.
Exactly.
But they kind of do this thing where your brain, so just for example, the van is getting chased in real time in the 1st level. And we're watching that, and it literally feels like a minute has happened. There's literally a part where the van drives off the bridge. That's
what I'm saying. I was like, wouldn't that kick? That in my head, that's what I was saying the entire time.
Right. And then the van drives off the bridge and it falls. So let's just say from there to the bottom is 10 seconds?
Not even, bro. It's probably 5 seconds. A van falling. Seconds. Yeah.
And it's like we have half an hour of the movie left. We're just watching this van fall for half an hour. And I'm like, I get it. Like we gotta cut back and forth, and people gotta have conversations. But I mean, these guys are skiing down a mountain. What are we talking about?
It's like wrap this fucking up, bro.
Yeah, this part's not. I mean, it's good. There's some snowmobiling, fight scenes. Eames does a good job. I don't know why everyone here knows how to handle an AK. They missed the kick. So back to Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's doing like the elevator shenanigans. He's fighting it out, and those scenes are sick. He's the one that has no gravity because the car is in free fall.
Yep. And he's the only one that's in that level.
So he's having to deal with that. But yeah, they get to that level, and then obviously, look who it is, shows up.
I want to speak to your manager.
Yep.
The ex-wife.
Surprise.
And he doesn't shoot her for some reason. He didn't see this coming. And honestly, here's the thing. The third or fourth time you watch this, you're just like, yo, you an idiot. Like,
blow this chick's brains out. Like, yeah, you can't. And like if you remember what happened on that first level where he's basically told everybody, so if you guys die here, you're in limbo for 50 years. He tells that to everybody, and then he sees his wife shoot the fucking Killian, and it's like, come on.
It's like, dude, you want to see your kids or not?
Exactly.
You want to see your kids or not?
What is going on? And like the thing that bothers me is it's not like Mal or Mal, however you say her name is. It's not like her who's confused about what's reality and what's not. He knows this is not real. So I don't understand the fucking hold up here.
And then he shoots her anyway.
Exactly.
Then they go down to the fourth level to go get
Killian. Mr. Fisher.
That's when the whole twist comes out about how he knew about how to plant an Inception in the first place.
Because
it's a big twist. First time you watch it, you're like, holy shit. You have the final showdown with Maul. Killian's just hanging out on the porch. So it wasn't really much of a rescue mission.
For real though.
There's a little Inception windmill. They kind of stick the landing. I think they try to stick the landing. Killian does his thing with the father, and then he opens a safe and there's a windmill.
Yep, and that windmill is the windmill that was in the picture that he holds onto in his thing. Yep. So, and that's what I'm saying. They kind of get it. To me, I feel like they did enough for us to believe that that's what happens. You're right. The end of this movie, it's like very exciting, and then because it's so confusing, especially on that first watch, you kind of lose yourself. And then on the second watch, it's not so much the confusion, it's more the frustration of why Cobb would still allow Mel to be fucking things up this much in this high stakes.
Yep. And then Cobb stays back to go get Saito. And then we're back in the beginning of the movie. We're right back in the beginning as
old Saito and young.
Yep. And an old man filled with regret. And then they wake up at the plane, and this is the meme of when it'd be like the meme would be like, yo, when the waking up with the boys after like a long night out, and then everyone's like fucking in the plane. Yeah, so that's the movie. All the scenes. Do you have a favorite scene? I like honestly the thing with heists. I usually, unless the heist is something super special, I usually like getting the squad together or the initial heist more in these types of movies. I think it's the funnest. It's the most upbeat. Everyone's happy. Like there's no like death or like someone's bleeding out or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because I kind of like getting the squad together.
Two things. Number one, for me, it's the concept. The concept of this movie just blows my fucking mind. So when he's describing to Ari, I can't say her name, to Elliot Page about Ariadne, when he's describing that this is a dream world and the things are blowing up, so you see the visuals, but it's just the idea behind what creating architecture in a dream is like. And like I just absolutely love that scene. And like it speaks to not just like the idea of building a dream or living in a dream or like the consciousness or your subconscious of your own dream. It touches on all of those things, but it also touches on the fact that like she's an architect and this is the greatest version of ever. Like when I was watching that, I was like, once we get virtual reality to be a situation like that, it's fucking over, right? Like this pro vision.
There's a lot of parallels.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like it's fucking over. Like your best life, you are creating it instantaneously, and it's happening in front of your face. And it's like my mind just goes on to a million different things. But before we wrap this up, we have to talk about that ending. What are your thoughts on that ending with the spinning of the top and not seeing?
I remember Like that was like a huge topic, and it's is he or is he not? But I think the key thing is he actually sees his kids' faces.
Yes. Yes.
I think he's back
In reality.
in reality.
My thing is, it's like the idea of him never, like whenever he goes down into that basement of his own subconscious and he looks over, and whenever his kids look, he doesn't look, is because what I was thinking the movie was saying is if he sees his kid's face, he's never going to want to leave that dream world, and he's going to stay there forever. So the fact that he sees his kids and they show his face, but you don't see the top, it's like leaving that big question mark, obviously. But I do also agree with you. I also do think that it is a reality. I don't know if there's anything else, but I know we have to talk about
MVP. Who's your MVP?
Oh, I'm an Eames man in this movie. I think Eames does.
For me, it's Christopher Nolan, writer, director.
Okay,
I think he's my MVP.
That's hard to argue with. Yeah. Like when you talk about the actors, obviously for me, it's Eames. But when you talk about even the big picture, Mumburi, this movie minus Hans Zimmer, is it still Christopher Nolan?
No.
Right? That's what I'm saying. It's
like removing,
yeah.
Just removing John Williams from Indiana Jones or Jurassic Park, or Star Wars. It's kind of tough to do. And this movie is so moody, and it's so. I think if you did this thing where you took it out and you added oh, we're gonna have like pop songs, like how all these movies now.
Don't do that, but don't.
We're gonna put some pop songs in there. Right?
We're gonna Guardians it up.
No sleep till Brooklyn.
Yeah, I got 5 on it. We're gonna do a spooky remix and throw it in there, right? So, like, if you started doing things like that, I think that would really kill the movie.
It really would.
But I think we could have gotten a different a score that would also work. I think.
Yeah. Because you're right. Christopher Nolan is the director. The reason he chose the music, the reason he chose Hans Zimmer is because he believed in the idea. There's no way that Christopher Nolan's would have been picking some fucking like pop song for these in-depth thoughts. We haven't done this in a little while, but instead of a recast, I did come up with a sequel.
Same. I did the exact same thing.
Shit. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Let me go. Can I go first? Let me go first.
You go first.
Okay, so it has been 5 years since Cobb entered limbo. Limbo, ladies and gentlemen. In the real world, he's in a coma, and because it has been so long in the real world, no dream thieves are willing to go down in Cobb's subconscious. The only recast from this previous movie, obviously outside of DiCaprio, who for the most part in this movie will just be in a coma, would be change the name from Ariadne to Ari, Cobb's former architect, and she's leading the crew. And this new crew who's going to go down there to go get Cobb back from his subconscious. And I just have 3 other names. I don't know who's going to be who, but these are just the 3 people I want to see in the movie. It's going to be Zendaya, Florence Pugh, and Tom Holland. That's my crew. And I think Tom Holland's going to play the...
Are they going to be doing TikTok dances on the way down?
I know it's a young crew, but I like this crew. I feel like Florence Pugh is going to be Ames's, like, person. Tom Holland is going to be Gordon-Levitt. Ari's obviously Leo. And then Zendaya is... what's it called? Zendaya is the sleep master. Like, in Euphoria, she loves her drugs.
You know what movie you just made?
What?
You know the third Pirates of the Caribbean?
Uh-huh.
Where Jack Sparrow's dead and they get a crew together to go get him?
Exactly.
That's exactly what this movie is.
Of course it is. Well, what else are you going to do? Okay.
Solid. But I think if he was in limbo, he'd still probably be on that plane.
No, I didn't obviously build it out, but he's in real life. I know he's in limbo, but he's on the plane. What I'm saying is because he's been in limbo for so long, in the real world, it's been 5 years.
Yeah, but he would still be, when he awakes, he'd still be on the plane.
No.
50 years, that whole heist, he'd still be he wouldn't have gotten the kick all the way up. He'd still be if he stayed for that whole heist in limbo, it's 50 yeyears.
I understand.
If it's been 5 years,
my point,
he'd still wake up on that.
No, my point is it's even longer because in this movie, him and his wife are under for 50 years. My point is in the real world, it's been 5 years and everyone is he's gone. there's no coming back from this. Like, he's on life support. Like, we should probably pull the plug. And like Ari's like, no, we're not. He showed me like fantasy world.
He'd have been in limbo for like 500 years.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's why his subconscious is completely broken.
So I would, I like that idea. I think you got to go with older actors.
Yep.
Someone with like some chest hair, and, some gravitas. But I like where you're going with it. Because yours sounds like a Disney Channel original movie.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of a sequel. But because there's a lot of this world that they've kind of introduced, and right now we don't know anyone else that can do any of these things, right? So I would love the idea of either changing up the Inception. So maybe it's they realize that they've been incepted.
Wait. Who's they? Who's they? Like so the whole crew?
The whole crew realize they've been incepted, and they got to find out how it happened and work backwards and who incepted them, and then work backwards from there.
I know who the answer is. It's Watanabe. That's motherfucker.
It's Cobalt Industries. They got goons everywhere.
Mubari, that's perfect. Mubari, that's actually perfect. Yes.
But I like the idea of going reverse. Like, so it's like the whole movie backwards.
Yeah.
And they got to figure out. Yeah.
At what point did we all get fucked up in somebody else's dream? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would be dope. And it would even go deeper into the idea of the dream. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Any final thoughts?
No.
Just a couple of quotes that I just wanted to say. Just because this movie had quotes out the fucking wazoo. This was from Arthur. An idea is like a virus, resilient, highly contagious. Once an idea has taken a hold of the brain, it's very hard to eradicate. I absolutely love that. The world was built on the backs of people's dreams, of people who dream. That was from Cobb. And then there was one more that I wanted to tell you, and I think we got them all the other ones. Oh yeah, I bought the airline. I like the gangster.
Yeah, it seems cleaner.
It's just such a fucking gangster line.
But in real life, let's just be honest, this dude would have a backup private jet.
100%.
Yeah. Like these guys aren't, Bill Gates ain't flying public. Dude's got 6 jets.
I know. I think Bill Gates owns 3 jets, like private jets. So he's like, there's no way he's not.
Or he's going to borrow one from Taylor Swift.
I bet he would. Mumbury. And that's it. We're good?
Yeah, we're great.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, please in the comment, tell us what your favorite scene was in Inception, what you think happened at the ending. That would be fantastic to know. Like and subscribe. That is the only way more people will see us, so we could do more videos just like this one. Catch you next time. Deuces.